Hello everyone, this is HuskyStarcraft here, back to some more StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm 1v1 action. This time it is going to be the grand finals of WCS, spawning down in the bottom right side. Making it to the finals many times in 2013. I feel like finishing second more than he's actually made it to the finals, which I know is actually impossible, but God, he's been getting second a lot this year. It is going to be EG Jaedong RC. And down the bottom left side, well, having his ups and downs and having a really stellar year, earning lots of money playing StarCraft 2, his team is sponsored by none other than Red Bull, who is currently representing the team color of Red Bull. It is going to be Startail Bomber. Now, this is going to be the grand finals of WCS Season 2. Season 3 is actually already underway, as lots of players trying to vie for those WCS points on the road to BlizzCon. So it is going to be a TvZ finals, which is pretty freaking epic. TvZ, a very classic matchup. I remember when Bomber and Yellow used to duke it out, man. Or not Bomber, Boxer and Yellow used to duke it out back in Brood War days. And you know what? TvZ, anytime I do a poll, consistently everyone's favorite matchup. So yeah, hope you guys are ready for this. Jaedong, even if he gets second here, is still going to be walking away with a lot of money, and Bomber would just love to add that 40 grand to his prize purse. Why they use the word purse, I don't know, because I feel like in a lot of sports they call it a purse, but how many people, how many men would actually have a purse on hand to put those earnings inside? I feel like the number is probably relatively low. But either way, we are going to be having a Command Center first year at a Bomber. Not a bad choice, especially against a player like Jaedong, who does love to macro it up. Although Jaedong, out of all the Zerg players out there, I would say he is very likely to go for some sort of crazy timing, whether it's going to be with Banelings, whether it's going to be 2-base Muta, whether it's going to be something silly. It doesn't matter. I've seen him basically use every build in the book, which is one of the reasons I feel like Jaedong can make it to the finals, because he can just use 5 different builds in a best of 5, get to the finals, and still have 7 different builds in a best of 7, which is, I think, kind of what makes him a champion. But we'll see if he's a champion here today. But right now, the Overlord is going to be scouting out the command center right here. He knows what's going to be on the way, which is going to be not a whole lot. It's going to be a lot of workers. It's going to be a lot of macro. Maybe more mules. But other than that, it's not going to be a lot of units just yet. As Bomber just saying, you know what? I'm completely comfortable with my macro versus the very multitasking-oriented player like Jaedong. And that's great. You can tell that he's not intimidated by him at all. I feel like as a Terran player, if you're intimidated by someone, you don't try and force it into the mid game, especially against a Zerg player. Keep in mind that Zerg players tend to play at the most APM out of all 3 races, I would say, from my experience. But some of those Terrans are a little bit on steroids, just like Bomber seems to be right now with 350 average APM. So Jaedong not going to be able to keep up with that. Now, APM doesn't really tell you a lot about the game, but just know that if you're rocking 25 APM, you're probably not going to be winning an IEM or a WCS or an MLG or whatever. So definitely keep that in mind. Although I guess you won't be winning an MLG no matter what, because they don't have StarCraft. Hey-oh, shots fired. But either way, we do have the command center going to be landing down here at the natural. 2 Marines inside, and this is why, honestly, Koreans, non-Koreans, people who are half Korean, this is why they love going command center versus Terran. It's very safe to go ahead and expand to your natural and just get that bunker up right away. Should be good to go, especially with the factory going to be here on the way right now. We do have the reactor got to be on top of that. You can swap those out anytime. Now, what is interesting is actually this 3rd command center here. We have seen Bomber do this many times, and I would say for him it's not too uncommon. Overall in the matchup, it's a little bit less common, just because, I mean, really, how are you going to secure 3 bases versus Zerg? Nearly impossible. So a lot of times we actually see is that command center, if they do decide to go that early and get that, then they'll just kind of leave it inside the main base. Jaedong right now, though, actually making a surprising amount of lings here. This is a lot more than you would expect, especially since he's just now throwing down his 3rd base at the 6-minute mark. He's going to try and punish Bomber for going from this early 3rd. The main problem is, though, is that these Lings aren't going to be able to do that much. The only thing they're really going to be able to do is intercept any Hellions that may run down that ramp, and Jaedong could actually run up the ramp there. The supply depots were lowered for a moment, but he's going to have to back out of there. He cannot cause any damage there. Sure, he killed off an SCV, and his drill bit is rolling and going the distance on that, man. that was an Olympic sport, drill bit rolling. I think he would have got first place or a gold medal there. But either way, it does look like the orbital command is going to be done. That should be, or upgrade into an orbital once the command center is done. That's exactly what he's going to be doing here. And again, the Lings on the center field, that's going to scare those Hellions from moving out very blindly, I should say, because they're still got to try and move out, still trying to do damage, and they're not going to be dropped or anything like that. So you just got to try and run them out here. Looks like Jaedong was a little bit out of position, and those Hellions are actually going to get by, and they get some crazy shots off on these Lings. Did not honestly expect that, and now the problem for Jaedong is that back at home he doesn't have a whole lot. I mean, yeah, he's got the Lings on the field, but he's forced to make 12 more Lings. Jaedong right here losing a couple more Lings right there. A nice little pair does go down. Bomber looking to be in pretty good shape. And I mean, if you look at the units lost, it's going to be a pretty straightforward story. Hellions doing lots of damage, Lings doing no damage, and are indeed being the recipient of said damage. Now, the Hellions are going to have a little bit more difficult of a time doing really any sort of harassment once the creep spread gets a little bit out of control, which is actually kind of what's happening right now. Sure, maybe the creep spread can't place as many creep tumors as he would like, but at the same time, his creep spread's not too shabby because Ling's going to try and get us around right now and actually overshot it there. Just 1 or 2 seconds too far on that counter, or trying to get this around there and not able to do this most effectively, but either way is actually going to be cleaning these up a lot better than I've seen in games past. As those Lings right there, he knows how he's not clicking them just on the Hellion until it reaches the creep, trying to get this around. But once it's on the creep, it is as good as dead, and really actually evening that up in a big way. Resources lost is almost identical here, just 25 minerals separating those. The main thing I worry about for Jaedong, though, actually cancels those as well. Good read there by Bomber. He scanned the main base, saw that there was no Baneling nest, saw that there was really nothing that he needed to be worried about. I mean, really, there's just a spawning pool, and you can't beat a Terran with just a spawning pool, given the situation where the wall in is complete, 4 Marines in the bunker. That's going to basically be an unlimited amount of Lings to kill that off. Now, what Jaedong can do here is delay this base, which that looks like that is going to be his ideal situation right now. And, oh, what was that? Was that a siege tank somewhere? Yeah, siege tank on the high ground, man, blast that away. So I thought it was going to be delayed, but not really. More of just kind of feigning a little bit of pressure right now. But look at this, the SCVs have already transferred down, and that was actually beautifully executed there by Bomber. I don't mean to be patting Bomber too much on the back, but I like the way that he is playing this out. Jaedong does have the double upgrades on the way, which is awesome. He's going to be, I assume, getting a 4th base. Yep, he does have the 4th base now on the way. And the problem, though, for Jaedong here is that it is 3 bases to 3 bases right now, and that is not a comfortable position for Zerg players to be in versus Terran. I mean, especially against someone like Bomber. I mean, we've seen Bomber. I guarantee you on my channel, we have seen him time and time again go 3 bases versus Zerg, start making the medevacs, start making the Marines, and start making the siege tanks. And that is when it just gets very, very out of control extremely quickly. Bomber loves his 3-base play as Terran. Actually, if you're a Terran player, I would highly recommend watching his style versus Zerg, and it's a very good one. It is very, very strong. Just make sure that you have a little bit of stellar defense there, and you can split versus Banelings later on. But past that, Jaedong's most likely going to be going for Mutalisk. Got to be going for those Banelings with Baneling speed and trying to get out as many upgrades as he can. And the problem is, this is the ebb and flow, I like to call it, of TvZ, is that the Terran player is reinforcing nonstop, and the Zerg player is playing defense with no counterattacks. The Zerg has a much higher chance of losing. If the Terran player is getting counterattacked a lot and cannot secure a 3rd and 4th base safely, then the Zerg player has a much higher chance of winning. So kind of watch once these units start to move out for Bomber. Is there nonstop aggression? Are there nonstop reinforcements? If so, it's probably not looking good for Jaedong. However, if you continue to watch and the Mutalisks start to get in the main base, the Zerglings start to do those run-bys, and there's really no tanks back here for defense, then Jaedong's going to have a pretty good chance right now. But no Baneling speed just yet. And by just yet, I mean he hasn't even started researching it, which I'm not sure if that's a mistake or not. I feel like he knows what Bomber's going to be doing here, which is non-stop aggression pretty darn soon. So having that Baneling speed would actually be ideal. But for now, it's just going to be slow waddling Banelings here. And either way, the Mutalisks here are going to try and chase down the medevacs. Keep in mind that the Mutalisks will catch up to the medevacs as soon as the speed boost runs out. However, that's the whole point of the speed boost, is for them to escape long enough for the reinforcements to kind of intercept those Mutalisks. That's exactly what happened there. Mutalisks forced to retreat. And Bomber just going to unload here at the natural. He's only got, I believe, 2 medevacs down here. I assume he has more on the way. Yes, he does. 2 have just spawned. 2 more are on the way. There's the ones that have just spawned. And he will begin to heal up this army. That stim was pretty important for Jaedong, because sure, this army's going to get fully healed here, but these medevacs are going to be shockingly low on energy. This one's only at 9 energy, and the new one's not having that much either. So Jaedong there, that's a big victory for him. He just needs to figure out how to deal with the majority of this army. Does he do a counterattack? Does he do doom drops? Does he do just mass baneling? There's going to be the triple hooks right now. Going to be able to obviously increase the speed of the banelings, but it allows you to split them better. It allows you to chase down units better and hopefully get those big detonations. Now, the problem for Jaedong here is the fact that he's relying on, I don't want to call it luck, but it is definitely relying on good baneling hits. And you never really know in these battles which way it's going to go until it actually takes place. That's just kind of the name of the game when it comes to TvZ, and one's going Marine Tank and one's going Baneling Muta, Baneling Muta Zergling. Kind of how it goes. Zooming way out because these battles may be widespread. Jaedong actually is going to be going on in here. Some triple hooks is not quite done yet. Needs to make sure he does not take siege tank fire onto those banelings. They only have 30 HP. I think that's something that a lot of players forget. Only 30 HP there, and siege tank's doing splash damage. That's going to be a lot of dead banelings if they're not split perfectly. We do have the upgrades now nearly done, though. We're going to have the +2 armor, the +1 muta attack, and the baneling speed all finishing up at the same time. But at the same time, we also have Drilling Claws got to be on the way, but here we go. It looks like Jaedong's got to try and run in there, and as long as he gets the Widow Mines and the tanks, then the Marines are going to have a hell of a time being able to secure this high ground. However, the Widow Mines are still here. Got to watch out. Jaedong doing a crazy wide attack. Everybody's sweeping down on the wrong side. The Bailey's got to try and run up to the high ground. Sure, he's got to clean that up, but it's the reinforcements that worry me as Jaedong is able to clean those up. There are still the Widow Mines up top, but Marines versus Mutas, that's usually very cost-efficient. Oh, God. Usually cost-efficient for Marines to engage Mutalists there, and that's actually exactly what we saw. If we take a look here at the resources lost, Jaedong, Rut-Row. This is what happens when you rely on Banelings. If you do not get the big hits, then you're going to pay the ultimate price. These Banelings got to be finishing. No, they're not. No, they are not. Not even close. Sure, 4 of them spawn. 2 of them, though, with super low HP, which already makes them basically worthless versus Marines. Got a couple pot shots. And like I was saying, here comes the reinforcing pain train. Preemptively going to be splitting this army, and just take a look at that mini-map. That is the site that Newkirk wants to see. Because honestly, even if Jaedong kills us off, the reinforcements may be too much, and the reinforcements are already grouping up there. Those were some really nice hits by Jaedong. Can he get big detonations on these Marines right here? Nope, just the one. And Widowmine finishes off the rest. Bomber's control. Well, it's one of the best in the tournament because he's in the finals, and he is making it obvious as to why. Almost double resources lost here. Jaedong loses these Mutalisks right now. 1,200 to 7,400 resources lost. Jaedong so far crumbling in these finals, and it really comes down to just Bomber playing the Bomber game. This is exactly what we'd expect out of him. Terran players, seriously, study the style. Yes, Bomber has a 276 average APM, but you can see the idea of the build. Good upgrades, good economy, secure third base safely, and begin the onslaught. These Mutalisks are as good as dead. There's going to be the GG. Game number 1 going to be going quite easily to Startail Bomber, and it's one of those things where it's, what is the style that counters what Bomber does? We see so many Zerg players actually struggle versus this, and a lot of times when you see Zerg players lose, you know what they're doing? They're going Zergling, Baneling, Muta. Now, that doesn't mean that Zergling, Baneling, Muta cannot beat this. What it does mean, though, is that you need to control it absolutely perfectly, or your Banelings are dead, and then you really have no, you have no explosions for your army. And then that means the Marines, they start to act kind of like Zerglings, where there's just so many of them, and the control is just ridiculous. The reinforcements nonstop. And honestly, I just want to kind of show this off right now. If you take a look at the barracks, if you want to know basically the basics of this build, get an early third base inside your own base, secure your natural, try and take your third as early as you can. Then you have 2 factories here. You also have 8 barracks. So there's going to be 1, 2, and how many reactors does he have on these barracks? Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reactors. At least on these ones. He's got the 1 tech lab, 2 more. 5, 6, 7, yeah, so 7 reactors. You can see the double engineering bay right here, so there's a heavy focus on the Marines, but he also has, guess what, factory and Widow Mines with the reactor on that one. So pretty cool build, and the starport there with the double medevacs. It basically is just kind of like a nice balance. I mean, look at how low his resources are. Sure, he's got a little bit of extra gas right there, but he can always just keep adding on medevacs there if he needs to. He could have maybe a couple less guys on gas, but either way, an awesome build there by Bomber. Terran players, go study it and make Zergs very, very sad. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.